Hey everybody, this is Chief Meteorologist Leslie Hudson. It is about 2:39 Eastern Time here in Orlando, Florida, with a live update on Tropical Storm Ada. So I apologize, I'm kind of looking around here. We've had some reception issues, so I'm making sure everything is looking good here. So I'm going to surf around here real quick to make sure we're up on all these platforms. Matt, I don't think I can hear you anymore, so I'm just going to go based on the Skype call to see where we're at. Hopefully we are up. It looks like we are. At any rate, you guys, lots to cover here in these next few minutes. So it looks like, Ada has maxed out in intensity. So that's the good news, the headline from this update. At one point, it was a hurricane for a few hours today, now back down to a tropical storm. We think that it's going to probably stay as a tropical storm as it makes its approach into the Tampa area later tonight and into tomorrow. And it looks like my machine is frozen, Matt, so you'll have to give it a second here and see if it catches up there. It's trying to catch up. But at any rate, you can see we have our 5 radars sweeping across the state of Florida. And of course, we've got Tampa's radar, Orlando's radar. We also have Key West and Miami as well. Let me see if I can actually get this to work now. So here is the outer western circulation of Ada. That area is shaded in yellow. Hard to pick up there. Let me see if I can switch that color out real quick with you guys here on the line. And you can see the tropical storm warnings that are issued for the west coast of Florida, including the Fort Myers area up into Tampa, northward up to the Cedar Key area as well. And then inland all the way over to Polk, Sumter, Lake, Marion County. There is a tropical storm watch for Volusia up into Flagler as well. And I'm trying to change the color of the pointer, but I'm not going to be able to do that on the fly, you guys. So, and you can see that there, of course, has been heavy rain across parts of the west coast of Florida. So I'm going to show you a couple pieces of video. First, I'm going to show you some video that we just got in from Fort Myers Beach, Florida. This was taken about 2 hours ago, and you can see the heavy rains and the strong winds that Fort Myers has been dealing with. The winds in Fort Myers, by the way, I'll show you the live wind in just a moment, but the winds currently there are around 18 miles an hour, and they've been gusting to around the 30 to 35 mile per hour range. So a lot of blustery weather here. We also have video from I-275 South, the Florida Power and Light, and also power crews from around the state and around the southeast are already getting ready to help Florida and Floridians from the no doubt power outages that will come even with a tropical storm. So this was in Ocala earlier today. That's in Marion County, and the crews are going to be positioning later tonight. They won't be able to do anything once the winds get higher than 39 miles an hour, but they'll be ready to get at it first thing tomorrow. And the good news is that Ada is going to be a fast mover and will not be a player for Florida's weather for long. Now, we know that it made an initial landfall over the Florida Keys over the weekend. And then, of course, we saw things change pretty significantly as it moved into the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. And what you're looking at here is that risk for severe weather today. And the risk is a slight risk. There's about 8 million people at a marginal risk, a slight risk rather, and 5 million people at a marginal risk. So the concern, of course, being that we could see some of these isolated tornadoes. There have been tornado warnings issued, and Matt, I'm just going to tell you, my computer on my end is really acting up, so I have a huge delay. So I apologize to everybody. We're trying to, get the technology working, but it seems like it's not wanting to play ball. So, okay, well, it's not on mine, so it's pretty delayed on my end. But I am able to see Skype. I am not able to see my my WSI machine. But at any rate, let me check the current warnings across Central Florida and across the state and see if there's any warnings, because there were tornado warnings. I don't see any at the moment, but I did want to read a couple of the storm reports that came in. So in Manatee County, around noontime today, there was a wind gust reported at 50 miles an hour. And then shortly thereafter in Charlotte, there was a 69 mile per hour wind gust reported. That's also in the southwest part of the state. Charlotte County at 11:47 reported a 60 mile per hour wind gust. So there's definitely been a lot of gusty weather there. The upshot to all of this is, again, this is going to be hit or miss with the bad weather. It'll be off and on. And as we take a look at the live wind sustained winds, you can see that we're looking in the neighborhood in Naples around 28 miles an hour, 26 for Miami, 22 in Punta Gorda, Saracen, Bradenton area, about 23 miles per hour sustained winds. St. Pete, 28. And we've got about a 15 mile per hour wind in Tampa. By the way, the airport in Tampa is closing in about 16 minutes at 3 p.m. today. That airport shutting down. I have not heard anything about Orlando. We had some questions last night about airports in the area shutting down. If I had to guess, and it would be a guess, I would imagine MCO will stay open. I think it's going to be just to the east of the worst of the winds tomorrow. But of course, that is a call that the airport will do. That is not a call we do. But hopefully, if you've got plans in this area, you'll be okay. I don't know about Jacksonville or any other surrounding airports, but I do know Tampa is closing at 3 p.m. today. So here is a look at the current watches and warnings. And by the way, of course, there have been several schools that have closed in the western part of the state and even in the interior part of the state as well. So I know school officials are trying to make a call later today for many of the areas impacted. So if you haven't heard from your school, I'm sure you'll be getting a text or a phone call from the auto callers shortly about your particular school. I know several schools have already decided to go ahead and close. So tropical storm warnings are for the areas shaded in purple. There is a hurricane watch as well along the Big Bend down to the Tampa area. That's just in the outside event case that we could see some hurricane conditions in the Tampa Bay area northward up to Cedar Key and Beverly Hills. So I don't think at this point that's going to happen. I think we thankfully are seeing a degenerating tropical system, but that hurricane watch is still there. And even if we were talking about a 75 mile per hour hurricane or a 70 mile per hour tropical storm, the impacts are still going to be the same. So please be aware of that, and you need to have those preps with lawn furniture. Trampolines are a huge problem with landfalling systems. A lot of people don't secure those, and they wind up in trees, and they are very, very dangerous projectiles. So if you have a trampoline or any playground furniture in your yard, you'll want to secure that as well. Storm surge anywhere from 2 to 5 feet. We're under storm surge warning for, anywhere from Bonita Springs all the way up to Horseshoe Beach. And with the biggest risk is already started. We've already seen video on social media with the winds already picking up. You can see that 2 to 4 foot surge would be in that Big Bend area, and then southward to near Tampa Bay, and then about 3 to 5 feet near Tampa Bay itself. Now remember, because of the trajectory that's coming in with Ada, we're going to see a lot of the water in the Tampa Bay dump out and come around back towards the Gulf. So we could see a fair amount of inundation, a fair amount of flooding in the Tampa Bay area as we head through tonight and into tomorrow. Port Charlotte about 2 to 4, as well as Bonita Springs, and then 1 to 2 feet down by Flamingo. And again, the northeastern side of Ada, where most of the higher winds are concentrated, is what we're going to be dealing with across the metro areas of Tampa, Hillsborough, and Pinellas County. So here's a look at the infrared imagery. Last night when we did our live shot, we did it around, I think, 11 or 12 last night. And I was talking about the organization of Ada, and I suspected that it was going to get stronger, which it did. But thankfully today, as you look at those last few frames, you can see how disorganized the system is. On those last few frames in particular. So I do believe we've maxed out with the wind impact with Ada. However, there's still a core field there of near 65 miles an hour. So that's still a significant amount of wind, and there is already a lot of clouds across the state of Florida. That's going to Central Florida in particular, and that will of course increase tonight and into tomorrow, and rapidly moving across the state and then out of here by tomorrow afternoon. So this will only be an event for a few hours, and then it should be off the coast of Jacksonville sometime by tomorrow night. So as of 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll get another update here shortly in about 12 minutes or so. We'll see if the graphics update. 70 mile per hour sustained winds and a very small core field. The pressure is up. It has continued to rise today, 990. So that indicates, again, usually an increase in the barometric pressure means a decrease in the wind field. The movement is north-northeast at 10, and that puts the center about 115 miles southwest of Tampa, Florida, and then crossing over Central Florida, right over Marion County, back over into Putnam County, and then back over into the Jacksonville area, and then offshore, as I mentioned, by tomorrow night. So fast mover. This will not be a long-term event, and then it's expected to move off the coast of Florida and then eventually move out into the eastern part of the central part of the Atlantic. It's not expected at this point to impact any other states directly. We, of course, will see some peripheral impacts across Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina, but most of the guidance takes this rapidly off the coast of the United States because there is a cold front coming as well that's going to kind of absorb what's left of Ada in these next 24 to 48 hours. So the news is good, is better than what we were looking at last night. We think this will be moving quicker than anticipated. We don't think the winds are going to get much stronger, if at all. I don't anticipate the winds to get stronger than what they are. In fact, I would suspect they're going to get a little bit weaker. And then, of course, rapid weakening once it moves over Florida and moving much, much quicker. The only downside to this is these storms will be rotating. So I do anticipate to have some concern with tornadoes. There is currently a tornado watch. I'll show you that in a second for the west side of the state until 5 p.m. today. And I likely will see that extend through the overnight and into tomorrow. So we're already getting the tropical storm gusts as we speak across the southwest part of the state. And as we head into the overnight, those will pick up. The winds will be picking up to around 40, 45 miles an hour. And then right around 55, 65 as we head into the early part of the day tomorrow. And then by the time it gets up to the Volusia County, Flagler County, up into St. John's, in northeastern Florida, I think the winds are going to be significantly less, but still having tropical storm status. So we anticipate that through the day tomorrow, but you can see that the wind field pretty much stays tightly aligned to the western side of the state and then expands out as we get into tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. And then, as I mentioned, tomorrow night, we're done with this. So it's a player for Florida's weather for about 18 to 20 hours from now, and then we should be done with it shortly thereafter, maybe 24 hours from now. It depends on the actual timing. But the fact that the system is moving very quickly, again, lending to the credibility that it'll be a shorter term event, which of course is all welcome. So here is a look at the wind radii. So the yellow are the winds that are around 39 to 57. We've already seen that. I showed you the winds gusting in that neighborhood already in these areas. And then the orange disc is the sustained winds of 57 to 73, in this case, 70 miles an hour. So by later tonight, we're going to see just the outer fringes of Tampa starting to get those sustained winds. And then by 10 p.m. Tonight, right over Tampa Bay, downtown metro, and then moving up into the northern part of Pinellas County and then crossing over Crystal River. And then our data disappears because it's expected to pretty much fall apart and lose any type of tropical storm winds below 35. So the data only good for about 24 hours from now, but you can still guess that there's going to be winds in the neighborhood of 35 as it crosses over Marion, over into St. John, up into Flagler, and then up into the Jacksonville area after that. Okay, let me see if my computer, it looks like it may have locked up. There it goes again. So here's a look at a high resolution high resolution radar product. And this has the path toggled on, as well as the margin of error, and then of course the rain future forecast. So as I put this in motion, you can see by 6 p.m. tonight, heavy rains in some of those tropical bands impacting parts of Tampa and southward near down even to the Fort Myers area as we head through late tonight. And then as we get into the overnight, as I mentioned, some of those core winds are going to be moving over Lake County, Sumter County, even Orange County. So again, I think several of the schools in the metro Orlando area are planning to close because of the potential risk for weather. That has not been an official call from several of the schools in this area, the west side of the state. Many schools have already closed, but I do think it would certainly be within the possibility that we're going to see some more closures across Metro Orlando, back over to the east side, Brevard County, perhaps Volusia, and up into Flagler. And then as we head into the early day tomorrow, again, everything moves quickly off the coast of the U.S. In terms of rain rates, again, I do think that, especially in these next 12 hours or so, I think the biggest possibility will be for flooding in the immediate Hillsborough, Pinellas counties, because that's where most of that wall of water is going to come in. Some of this is going to be inundation from that storm surge, but because Ada is going to be moving so quickly, the risk of heavy rains like we saw in South Florida, where they saw 18 inches of rain this past weekend, I don't think is going to be as large. But there's certainly going to be a lot of rain between now and tomorrow, and there are several areas in the state of Florida under flash flood watches. Power outages also going to be a concern. So here's a look at that forecast product. A moderate risk, of course, pretty much where the path of Eta is anticipated, from Tampa back through the I-4 corridor and then back towards the east side as it exits the state. That will be the greatest risk. I don't anticipate power outages to last a long time because I think this will be a quick event, relatively speaking, a quick event, and crews will be able to get back out tomorrow while we still have daylight, and we'll be able to start to repair lines. So hopefully the power outages will be short-lived. Again, I don't work for the power company, but I know how the crews are so great at trying to restore power once there's been a landfall of a tropical system. So I anticipate that hopefully those power outages will be short-lived. We'll see. All right, computer models. So these were doing a tough time forecasting Eta earlier in the week. Now everything clustered together in good agreement. Hurricane Center has good confidence in the forecast track, as you can see here, moving right over the path that we've been talking about, moving right off the coast of Northeast Florida after that, and then eventually moving out into the Atlantic. So it'll, again, be a forecast that I don't think is going to deviate all that much. I think we're pretty much, we've got a lock here from the Hurricane Center. What has surprised most people is that this changed so quickly because, as you know, yesterday afternoon, we were still talking about a landfall over perhaps northern Gulf Coast, maybe the Florida Panhandle, or even there was some talk about southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, and then we saw that dramatic shift in the track yesterday at 10 p.m. and then things pretty much aligned after that. So we talked about this last night. This is not unusual for a late season storm. They can be incredibly fickle and incredibly difficult to forecast. Many things have to line up. Steering patterns get more complicated this time of the year because we have more cold fronts in play, especially if we're talking about Florida. So our SATRAD shows the genesis again over Cuba, where it did that big loop a couple of days ago, and then just started to really get its act together and decide, okay, I'm going to come towards Florida here, and has made a fairly rapid approach to the state in these last 18 to 24 hours. So again, that landfall expected sometime tomorrow morning. And actually, I've got a map in here I don't want, but my computer is being super fickle. Let me see if I can go past this. I don't even think it's going to let me do it. So what I can do is I'll try. I think it's clear for you guys on your end. I don't know, and I can't hear you, Matt. But I think at least what I see from Skype, it looks relatively clear. Okay, good. I can hear you. Okay, good. Because I have no control over my computer pretty much at the moment. So, and that's the joys of a tropical system coming to the state of Florida, where we are. The bandwidth here is being maxed out by a lot of people. But once this catches up, I'll try and put it back to the radar. Matt, I can hear you. If you see any questions, I think we can try and answer some. I'll see if I can pull some up as well. And I'll see if everything will play ball for me here. Okay, so I know Matt was saying a lot of people were asking about specific cities. I've tried to answer a lot of the specific cities, but Matt, if you want to read out a couple of them, I'll see if I can, while I wait for my computer to catch up here. Oh, that's a good question. I would have to research that. I don't remember how. So the question was, how long has Eta been around, and what's the longest a storm has been around ever? So I definitely would have to look that up. But I can tell you, based on my knowledge, on experience, and what I can recall off the top of my head, we have seen storms that have lingered in the Atlantic basin for over 2 weeks. I think the record is around 3 weeks. And I couldn't tell you the name of the storm, I don't recall, but we have been dealing with Eta since well over 10 days from now, 10 days ago, maybe even up to 2 weeks. So it formed in the Caribbean, and then it went over Central America, moved up right along the Mexican coastline, moved over Cuba, moved back over the Florida Keys, back southward, hung off of Cuba's coast for about a day and a half, and now has finally made its final approach into the west side of Central Florida. So I believe, and again, I would have to check, but I believe that Eta has been around for about 10 to 14 days. So it's definitely a longer lasting system. We don't typically deal with them this long. That is for sure. It has just been a wild pattern with this tropical storm, and at one point a very strong hurricane. So not a very typical what we're seeing, but again, that caveat that I would say is that this time of the year, getting these weird, cyclones that do these weird loops and do these weird paths is not unusual. That usually is typical in a late November storm like this, or in an early storm in May or June. We kind of get these hybrid storms that are very weird and do these weird things. And that has definitely been the case with Eta, but it's been right in line with 2020. I mean, it has been falling right up in there with the 2020 weird season. Okay, so I have control of my computer again. So I'm back up on the live sweeping radars. And actually, I had the velocity, but I think it went right past that. So let me get over to the velocity mode because I wanted to show you that. Again, there are no tornado warnings ongoing. There were tornado warnings about an hour ago, but as we put this in motion, again, see that big heavy band of heavy rain that's been rotating on the outer rotation of the tropical storm. So we've seen some significant downpours, and then we've got another band that's coming into play here in these next 90 minutes or so. So you can see, let's see my computer again being slow. It's trying to think, but I'm trying to show you my pointer here, but it doesn't. I may have really annoyed it. Let's try again. Hang on one second. Let's try this. No, it must be the Wi-Fi, so it's really annoying. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do the pointer because I can't draw. So here is those bands that I was talking about, those heavy embedded feeder bands, if you will. Those can put down a significant amount of rain in just a short period of time, 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches, in some cases even more than 2 inches of rain in just about the course of an hour. So that creates a very dangerous flash flooding risk. And the center itself is over here, completely exposed on the west side. My pointer will pick it up there. There it is, right in there. So the west side completely exposed. Again, at one point there was a closed off eye that the Hurricane Center was able to detect, but now that is no longer the case. And, that's welcome news because we certainly don't want anything stronger. We want to keep this thing on the weaker side, and a tropical storm is bad enough for sure. So let me see if I can zoom in, and we'll take a look at some of the rain rates and with some of those bands. And then again, that core wind of 70 miles per hour is on that northeastern side of the center that is anticipated right near Cedar Key, just south of Cedar Key, between there and Beverly Hills. So it's or Spring Hill rather. It's a little bit hard to tell where that's going to come in at, but the estimation is that we're looking at that general area. And let's see what some of the rain rates are. It's probably going to, again, I'm dealing with a huge lag here. So I'm just going to toggle on some random spots and see if we get lucky and the computer will play ball. But at any rate, you guys know that when there's reds and oranges like that, those are significant downpours. And then the reds are also heavy rains as well. So a couple of the areas it looks like that I toggled on, because again, I was kind of doing this blindly, we're showing about 1/4 inch an hour or less, but I know that they're embedded in these storms are more than that. So just know that there is that flash flood watch in your area along the western central portions of the state, and I don't anticipate that to go away anytime soon until probably tomorrow afternoon. Things will start to get a little better for you guys. Okay, let me see if it'll do it now. I'm trying again, and nope, doesn't look like it wants to play. So let me go past this and we'll go over to the velocity mode, because I did want to take a look at that real quick and see if I saw anything. So there's the velocity mode. We're out of Tampa Bay. And currently, as I mentioned, there has been no warnings. There's been some significant winds, though, as I mentioned, packed inside these outer bands of Eta. So even though it's disorganized, it's looking less and less like a true tropical cyclone. There has been a fair amount of wind with this. of course, even though this is a tropical storm. So let's see if I can get a velocity to toggle on. It doesn't look like that's going to do it either. So, all right. Well, let me go past this. Boy, the technology is frustrating, you guys. But you get the gist of what we're talking about. So, I know you can see the data. Unfortunately, I'm not able to query anything because the computer is lagging. And so we are in Orlando, by the way. And I'm in a suburb just to the north of Orlando in a city called Winter Park. But apparently the Wi-Fi here is not wanting to play ball with me today. Normally it does. So a little bit frustrating. But here's a look at the severe weather risk, you guys. 5 million at slight risk and 8 million at a marginal risk. And let me jump on YouTube here. I think I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream since we're having or at least I'm having technical issues. It's clear, which is good, but I'm not able to manipulate my computer the way I'd like to. So I'm over in YouTube, and Cameron Thompson's there. Hey, Cameron. Kyle Jordan also joining. Penny Burns, she is been joining us as well. Let's see if I see anything else you hear or want to read off to me, Matt, before we take the stream down real quick. A question. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Well, I think what we'll do is, since I'm battling some Wi-Fi issues on my end, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and take the stream down. What I think we're going to do at 5 o'clock when we get some new info from the Hurricane Centers, we'll do another update. That one will be just with the graphics, and then I'll join you guys in the studio tonight. Probably anywhere from 7 to 8 p.m. I don't know. It depends on what the weather's doing and when I think I can be most useful to you guys. But in the meantime, make sure that you check our social media pages. We are updating that as often as we can. We'll be turning around some of the video that we've been getting in, which again has been pretty impressive already. And what a wacky hurricane season it has been, you guys. I tell you, it has been hard to keep up with all these storms. A new record, of course, shattered the record from 2005. We have had more tropical storms systems form in 2020 than ever since we've been keeping records. So it's been definitely difficult to keep up with everything. But I wanted to show you the one that's down in the Caribbean that we're also watching, but because the computer's being so fickle, I'm just not going to mess with it. I'll show it to you tonight. So that'll do it for now, you guys. If you've got a question on a specific city, I tried to be as specific as possible. Just a reminder that, if you're along the west side of Florida at the coast, your impacts are going to be more direct than folks that are in the interior or back towards the east. So the further away from the center you go, the less of the impacts. That said, as you look at this radar loop, there are a fair amount of feeder bands or squalls that are rotating on the larger circulation of Eta. So we can already see that all the way down in west Florida, we've been dealing with these feeder bands, heavy rains, and those are going to rotate up the state. And then, of course, over in the Metro Tampa area, St. Pete Beach, Fort Myers, those all are dealing with the heavy tropical downpours right now. And of course, the winds are not there yet, the sustained winds. So that will all happen tonight and tomorrow. But the encouraging news, the more better news in this scenario is that this will be a fast event. By tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, we will be done with Eta across the state of Florida and should be done with it across the whole United States, because it's forecast to move into the Western Atlantic pretty soon after it makes landfall. So I think that'll do it for now. Thank you guys so much for being patient. I apologize for the technical issues that often happens where you're completely cloud-based right now. We are doing everything through Wi-Fi, so we're at the mercy of the internet gods, which are apparently not shining in on us today. But I'll be in the studio tonight where we'll be landline, so it'll be better. So anyways, that's going to do it for now. I hope you guys continue to get ready over in Tampa. I know you guys have been through many storms, and may just be saying, oh, it's only a tropical storm. But again, a storm surge 3 to 5 feet is definitely an extremely dangerous situation. If you are living in an area that's been told to evacuate, I certainly hope you have done so, or you will get ready to do so here shortly. Okay, guys, stay safe, and I'll see you back here tonight.